going to do something like that, where would you put it? And, then we find another story. Government defends $10 million grant for untested rainmaking technology. This is from a Radio Australia broadcast, and it was published in something called The World Today. Because what's really cool is the Australian government gives this money to an individual, just happens to be Rupert Murdoch's nephew, Matt Handbury, and he's doing very well with this company. Down at the bottom we got some pictures from Australia and Rain's website, and we see like these pyramid style buoys at their various sites that modify the weather and make it rain. And I was using a blanket and some old Indian smoke signals for so long. How wrong am I? But we have the Wivenhoe Dam installation in one, the Paradise Dam site in another, and the Adelaide installation at the bottom. So, if I guess you see any little pipes like that in your neighborhood, you know what they're doing, a little old rain dance. So, this is all in the open. The government's paying for it. Rupert Murdoch doesn't even talk about his nephew doing this sort of thing. So, we really have to wonder, what the hell is going on, because it's so common. Even friends of mine that come from way less developed countries are pretty quick to say that they can modify the weather. So what can we say? One of the other cute little things here from Haiti, we had no security at a lot of the hospitals. This one really I found enjoyable. We see here they got lots of security. You see these big, tough, menacing-looking guys standing around here. Well, what are they guarding? They're guarding the bank. Yeah, not $1 died in that earthquake. I just want you to know that. They're all safe. Trouble is, it probably never belonged to any of the people in Haiti, but they had lots of security, and everybody, all the money was saved. Now, the thing that really irks my chain is, having worked in the armored car industry, I know what a bank vault is. And those suckers are pretty thick steel. And if, we got a couple of guys together with sledgehammers and blowtorches and all that kind of stuff, maybe we pop it in a week, but it's hardly something that's going to need that great of a security presence, because the vault itself is just very, very, indestructible, to say the least. One of the other big background stories for Haiti is, just absolutely sick and disgusting, really, but I guess it's something we have to deal with. We'll open one up here and see where we go. We warn you, this is not pleasant. If you're bothered by children being murdered, this will disturb you. But it's the God's honest truth, and it's something that's been held up by our mainstream media, because while you're looking for news in places that you don't go to too often, you find other news sources, and I found one called the Haiti Information Project. Hopefully some of these people have survived. One of their articles, Pentagon's Troubling Role in Haiti, describes some of the building block stuff in this. The Department of Defense and the Central Intelligence Agency have remained highly controversial in Haiti since it came to light in 1996. They helped to create the Revolutionary Front for Advancement and Progress in Haiti, FRAF, a paramilitary organization headed by Emmanuel Toto Constant. FRAF was responsible for the murder and rape of thousands of Haitians after a brutal military coup forced then-President Jean-Bertrand Aristide into exile in 1991. The Pentagon was also criticized for covering up its role after it seized more than 60,000 pages of documents from FRAF headquarters in October 1994. The documents were eventually returned to the Haitian government, but they redacted all the important things like the names of the terrorists, because they're contract killers for the American government, it appears. So that would be routine. So, of course, to go after these terrorists, we have to send the United Nations troops. They took some from Brazil as some great guys, because they have a lot of experience at torture, going after their own indigenous drug dealers. So they go into Cité Soleil, a small community where there's a lot of support for Mr. Aristide. People who go out in the streets and protest. I'll just get my massacres in line here. And they call them in Haiti the UN massacres. They got into a big gunfight in these places, and they fired 22,000 rounds. 22,000 rounds. Some of the survivors said they were shot at from helicopters. The UN denies that, of course, and they probably denied they fired any of the 22,000 rounds, although the witnesses that survived said they did. But of course, mainstream media doesn't tell us about the atrocities committed by United Nations troops, because of course those are for us. So here is a picture that never made the 6 o'clock news. We see a nice headshot here on this little 7-year-old child, and I guess a gut shot on the 4-year-old while daddy's standing over their bodies in their bedroom. He was shot too. He's got a bandage on his arm. His wife was shot as well. She's not in the pictures. Maybe she was shot even worse than that and is unable. But of course this just doesn't get out. Nobody talks about that. You see, because it's okay for the state to kill you. You see, the Canadian government has determined a long time ago that the definition of a successful state is to have a monopoly on deadly force. That means you can use it anytime, anywhere. Imagine you were a hunter, a sportsman, or just any kind of gun owner, and you walked out into the street and fired a few rounds through a window accidentally or on purpose, it wouldn't really matter, and you killed a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old and shot the mother and the father. I think that would be front page news around the world, in the English-speaking world, definitely in Canada and the United Nations. You would see thousands of people lining up to lobby their governments to ban guns. But when the United Nations kills you, I don't see the quack chick that we have here in Canada who goes around and with these coalitions for gun control talking about these poor people. There we see people protesting the event out in the streets in Haiti. Maybe some of them are alive now, maybe some of them are dead, but their democratically elected leader was, just strategically removed. Here's another young boy, about 9. He was shot by the United Nations. Well, another one too, really good at that. Another headshot, just creased the top of the old cranium there, put the little sucker down, and that's the end of him. So that's your United Nations justice. That's the state, that's the monopoly on deadly force. That's what makes the world go round for these twits. And this is the history of Haiti that, our good news media couldn't really give a rat's ass about covering in any way, shape, or form. And I guess that's why we do some of these things, because if we don't do it, nobody's going to do it. So let's see if we get this other one here. So I got my massacres close together. This is another gruesome shot, but this is your United Nations at work here. Imagine being pregnant, walking across the street. Well, a whole bunch of soldiers come up on you and you take a nice gut shot in the tummy, and baby's lost, and they just leave you lying on the street without any first aid or attention whatsoever. They made absolutely no arrangements to have medical personnel on hand to look after the injured after these 22,000 rounds were fired. And I'm sure a lot of Haitians keep that kind of ammunition at home because they're starving and have absolutely nothing to live with. So more protesters go out in the street and prevail, no pun intended. There's the helicopter that's supposed to have fired some shots. This is the man who says he was shot by the helicopter. He gave a dying declaration and passed away. Of course, nobody really gives a shit about him because he's black and he comes from Haiti, but the United Nations knows what to do, man. 22,000 rounds, lock and load, let her rip, kill all them suckers. And there's another poor individual who knows the United Nations wrath, that they're all there for peace and diplomacy. Too bad we didn't let them open fire in Rwanda, eh? But, that was a different set of rules. We were doing our massacres ass backwards there. Some more people hiding. See what you do before you cross the street. This man's making the cross sign on his chest to say, please, God, let me get across the street without getting my asshole blown off. And here's another little fella. He just didn't have too much time there. I don't know how the color is, but you got a nice wound right through the lower jaw, comes out the mouth, and big rabbit hole in there for some more United Nations justice that Wendy Souquier and the Coalition for Gun Control will never tell you about, because they want to disarm you so they can shoot your ass. But she'll never stand. I don't even think she's lined up to even get aid for Haiti. She's probably just wearing her blood diamonds and walking around the street, but that's just my opinion. So it's a terrible world down there, a terrible world. Let's see if we can find another good story here just to show you how effective our American friends are here. Yes, that one's a good one there. The American Embassy. Great story. Who'd have thunk it? How much do you think that the Americans would spend to put an embassy in Haiti? Would you believe, as Maxwell Smart used to say, that the 4th most expensive embassy in the American arsenal of embassies